Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the HappyBasins Jungle Room. And I'm Amy Benzie, and this is
Ron Rundo.
Welcome. Is Ron Rundo of Snakescapes. For those of you who do not know who Ron Rundo is, definitely look up Snakescapes, all one word, as in snake landscapes. So check out Snakescapes by Ron Rundo, and we're going to talk more about some of his work, which we have right here in the studio. So today, first of all, I want to ask if anybody's out there, can you tell me if you can hear me? I am going to have a look here at my social medias and see.
Testing.
Yeah, we're testing, seeing what we got going here. Uh-oh. Gotta turn it down. So I know we can hear us on Facebook, and I'm sure that if we can on Facebook, we can also hear on YouTube. And I can hear it on both. Sounds good.
Great.
All right. So welcome for those of you who are here. And as my brother always reminds me, welcome to those of you who are watching after, after the live is over.
Yes.
My brother says, don't forget about those of us who aren't here.
Right.
Guys, today we're going to make soaker hose vines. You've been seeing my posts for the last days.
Yep.
And Rundo and I were talking about these soaker hose vines, and he started coming up with some great ideas. And so I asked him if he would join us today. And well, obviously he said yes. We are going to be using, do you want to talk about the supplies?
Well, just regular rubber soaker hose, right? And then you're using this environmentally friendly pet dwelling paint by Ecos to color it. I mean, you know, rubber, and even though you scratch it off, try to scratch it with your fingernail, nothing comes off. That's the paint. Good
yes,
stuff.
It's really good paint.
Yes.
And with these soaker hose vines, they go in the rain chamber. They're completely removable.
Right.
And my soaker hose vines have been in and out of the rain chambers for years, not to mention you guys have seen how much water my enclosures get, constantly raining and misting in there. So they hold up really well.
Yes. And like to make it so that this one fits in, what's the size of the enclosure?
That enclosure, I thought you just measured it.
Oh, I mean, it was outside. Outside is 24, right?
I don't know.
Okay,
I really don't know.
You know, anyway, from corner to corner, this soaker hose fits fine. It's got the wire inside it. You can bend it a little bit. You stick it inside and we'll show you that once we get to that point. But we're just showing where we're starting.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys saw the videos that I posted yesterday, well, I think I only put it on Facebook, but I used to make these vines on a stick, and I would have the stick just covered in vines. So basically today we're going to do my very first prototype, but better.
Right.
And another thing too, Rundo mentioned that we're using this hose. This is soaker hose. It's very important to find soaker hose that is FDA approved for vegetable gardens. Right. And really nowadays it's super hard to find soaker hose that's not approved for vegetable gardens, but still you always want to make sure that that's labeled on there. That way you know it's toxic free and completely fine for the animals.
Right.
And here we have 1/4 inch as well as 1/2 inch vines. And my adult animals, my full-blown, almost 8-year-old female emerald who's going on 7 feet, she's huge. You guys know Isis. Yes. She will perch on these little 1/4 inch. Not to mention, if you guys look at any of my stuff, you can see how these animals use a full vine system. And once we get started, I'm going to talk about the vine system, why we use it. And for those of you who don't know, I've been 11 times to the Amazon rainforest to observe these animals in their natural environment. Everything we do here in our HappyBasins jungle room is emulating as good as we can right here what I see them doing and enjoying out there.
Right. It's quite the jungle room.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to talk just a little bit more about Rundo's work, Lover, can you get the camera and kind of come over here a bit and let me show off Rundo's tree here? And I'm going to move our beautiful Michelle Maddox carvings, and I'm just going to kind of weave it right up here into the vines and get it up out of the way. So we don't have any visual obstructions here
There
for
we
our
go.
vine making, but we also want to make sure it doesn't fall on my head while we're doing it, which that looks like it has good potential to do. No problem. I just put it right here. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. And yeah, I can't tell you guys how many times these Michelle Maddox carvings have tricked us. Not just Larry and I, but our guests too, thinking they're real.
Oh, they great work.
Yes. All right. So you guys, can you hand me that little Kaylee Drew Birdsong painting?
Sure.
And talk to us about this work and also give us a brief description of your work overall.
Right. Well, I do inserts and habitat designs for these arboreal snakes. This is the same kind of epoxy that they use in zoos and aquariums world round. So I would sculpt the body of it up in styrofoam, and then I would coat it in epoxy and sculpt up some of this detail. And well, these are the perches that kind of went in the unit. You can see that. These are the perches. These are my specialty, really, these custom perches for these arboreals.
And when Rendo designed this particular piece for us, it was inside of an enclosure. And since then, we have remodeled our enclosures. And when this was in the enclosure, Rendo had designed these 3 removable perches. So they actually went vertical in front of the tree. It was really stunning. But I wanted it for our backscape, for our podcasts and our live videos and all the videos.
Right.
So we created this amazing corner. We call it our Rendo corner.
See that? Nice.
And what I really want to get to with your work, it's not just beautiful, but it is an aesthetically functional piece of art, I've heard you say in videos.
Yes.
And tell us about, I want to reference your beautiful ideas with the textures, and then talk about how my soaker hose vines also use texture.
Right. So here, if you could zoom in, you'd see that all this has the striated texture to it. On the branches themselves, it's the same thing, but I also offer some burrs and nibs so the snake could crawl around, and when it's time to shed, it could catch that stuff and help peel it off. Whereas with the soaker hose, man, this thing has its own great texture. When you could imagine the snake riding over it, it would just pull that skin right off.
And it does. It's fabulous.
Yeah. And even with the color, adding paint to it, it doesn't change that texture at all.
You still have a really good texture there.
Yes.
Also, even when they're not shedding, we observe, I have this for my king snakes upstairs, and also for our precious little iguana, Jaja, who's not little anymore. And all of the animals, the king snakes, the emeralds, the iguana, you can regularly see them rub their face on it. And Jaja really uses it to shed. So the soaker hose vines are not just good for the arboreal, as well as Rendo's work. He said he does it for arboreals, but I know projects he's done for all kinds of different animals. So yes, texture is extremely important, whether it's in super fabulous art, functional art, or if it's in your vines that you're just trying to create for the animals.
Right.
So before we get started actually showing you how to make these vines, I'm going to have Rendo explain to you how we measured and did the different things. I just want to first show you one of my big projects. Well, it is a big project because I have created one of these soaker hose. Should I use this one? Will that be easier? I have created one of these soaker hose vine systems, not only for all 8 of these enclosures, for our 4 west wall enclosures and our 4 north wall enclosures. Also, Isis's enclosures full of them. And I have quarantine emeralds upstairs who also have these. So I have made 1 million of these. It's what it feels like. Now, this soaker hose vine system, all I have to do here is just take the plant out. I just take a couple of plants out of here, and then it just becomes super easy to just remove this whole system. So this whole entire vine system just comes right out of here and can go into the shower. And another one of my favorite features of these vines is right here. And these are arboreal water bowl holders. We 3D printed arboreal water bowls. We have tried everything. The 3D prints work for a few years, but after like the 4th year, they all just started breaking, and we used some really good filament. Did I say that right? We used really good filament, and it still busted up after some years. These soaker hose vines do not. It's super easy to just change this water out. I just take this little bowl and, clean it out and put it back. And you can see I have 2 in every enclosure. And like I said, it comes right out of here, and I put it right into the rain chamber. So I'm not going to do that right now because I want to move on with the video, but you guys can definitely see, thank you, Rendo. You guys can definitely see how convenient these are. Now, before we move on, I want to talk about, can you show them the ceiling here? You guys can see on our ceiling, this is all natural vines that we saved some trees down by the river here in central Arkansas. And we saved the trees by unwrapping the vines from the trees and bringing them home, power washing them, and shellacking them. All of these vines are because when I am in the jungle, I've learned that we look for these animals in vine systems. If we pass by trees that have tons and tons of thick vines hanging from as far up as you can see all the way down to the river, that's where we spend a lot of time searching for the emeralds. When I say drive by, I mean on our boat on the river. When we drive by a whole big trees as deep as you can go, we'll look because we're driving by them, but we don't slow down and we don't, look hard, because it's not likely you're going to find these guys in trees without vine systems. So, like I said, we have replicated what I've learned by my experience with these animals in the wild. And that is the reason why we created these soaker hose vine systems, because I needed something that would keep the sterilization, which is a big thing you work on with snakescapes, using all materials that museums and zoos use. Really, when we got our tree from Rundo, he gave me everything I needed to keep it clean, the right sponge, the right cleaning solution. So sterilization is very important to you too.
Right. And that it doesn't break down. Like she shared before, the 3D printing of those brackets and stuff, or branch work, it breaks down over time. This stuff doesn't, nor does the rubber.
It works really good. And like Rendo pointed out, that paint does not come off. It's fabulous paint. So another thing too, when he mentioned breaking down, I'll show you guys back in here for a second. When we first started doing this, and I mentioned this in another video I posted yesterday, we were using this Reptile vine, and we were stripping the flimsy wire out of it and filling it with the 6-gauge copper wire and making it real sturdy. You can see my first designs used all this. And what happened was it started getting mildew, so I would have to clean it constantly, always checking it. Well, I decided, since I had 50 of these Reptile vines filled with copper wire, I would integrate one into each of these enclosures so I wouldn't have too much to clean, but it's turned out to be too much. And you can see how Ningishita's enclosure is lacking some vines because I've been systematically going through and removing these out of the enclosures because I am finding mildew on them. I have not in 4 years ever found mildew on the soaker hose vines. They make it extremely easy to keep things sterile.
Right.
Before we move on, while we're still talking about supplies and vines, just one more quick time, if you could just come back here one more time, love. We run into this problem at first. Now we know better, but this soaker hose right here that I used for the water bowls, you see how it ripped there? This soaker hose has no texture. So when you're out there buying soaker hose, make sure you get the one with a good, strong texture. This one's smooth, and not only does it not give me the texture effect that I'm looking for, but it also rips really easy. So make sure that you're getting an FDA vegetable approved textured soaker hose. Now, you guys see all this twist and everything. We are going to actually show you how to create that. So
All right.
go ahead and take your place back behind that desk again. And I will come right over here.
Okay.
All right. So, Rendo, can you start off by talking about the measuring?
Yes.
And the little sanding and kind of give us the process.
Yes. So as a first for the unit, I wanted to measure from the one corner diagonally to the next corner and cut a piece out of this thick soaker hose, and that would fit in from corner to corner. So I would turn the corner here, turn the bottom there, and I'd be able to just sit it right in nice and tight. Adding these little twists in the soaker hose also adds a little bit of strength to it. And it also gives you a chance when we're about to wrap these things around, it has a nice place. We can put the soaker hose, the swell soaker hose right through that little hole. Because when you're making these things, you don't want to make like little things where the snake can get trapped in it. Stuck for sure.
For sure.
So this particular piece fits right inside. The unit is 24, but from diagonal it's 29. But this piece was cut at 42 inches, and 42 inches gives us just the right corner space and a couple of twists and a little bending and stuff like that. So it gives us a nice place to start.
Yes. Do you think we should take them in there and show them the little baby enclosures to get started?
Sure.
I think
you see what we're talking about.
And you guys can also, this thing hanging right here, this is in one of my old baby vines that fit into an enclosure. But the problem is it's just a stick, and I kind of fixed it up and put some purchased Reptile vines on there. But I couldn't get it in past a lip. So that's what we're going to really show them right now. Let's go.
You can just give it a little bend and it comes right back. And you stick it right in. Fits perfectly.
Yeah, and another thing I didn't mention about these big vines, when I do these vines, I cut a full 25 feet, I bend it in half, and then I just start molding each side. But the great thing about these is they can be squished up and moved around. You'll see when we make them. They're very versatile. You can always just add more as you upgrade your size. So many things that you can do with them. Here, let's just get a quick look at Isis here. The thing with Isis is when we're down here, she always wants to be involved. She's always watching to see what's going on. So she's not the snake and she is about to shed right now. She's not the snake who hides her head when people come in the room. She's the animal that gets up and says, what are you going to do?
She was sitting nicely there. Now we're in the room. Now she's coming out. Hey, everybody.
Yep. She's like that. And when I'm doing anything in her enclosure, she's always right under my hands. I've got some videos of that up there too. You got the piece? Oh, look, we both had the idea to grab this. All right, you guys. So Larry's not able to come real close in here. You can now? This is becoming our nursery. So this room is a little bit under construction. I'll show you guys real quick too, is that I've also created soaker hose vines to put into our rain chamber. And the animals just love it. They just get in here and sit on the soaker hose vines. Here's a little piece here, how you can kind of see what we might even be able to use that.
Yes, yeah.
Well, we better not, because everything I have I use already for something. And this is good for when the animals want to come out, you can let them slither on it. So we'll keep that in there. And you guys can see how this soaker hose vine has been in this rain chamber for years. And the paint, like Rendo scratched it, I scratched it pretty hard. It did do a little, but it stands up beautifully and no mold, like I said. And, folks, I know a lot of people use the PVC, but it's so smooth. And when the animals have nothing but smooth in there, they have to do a lot of work to get that shed off. So even just adding a little bit of soaker hose vines to your current setup can give you, instead of just 3 perches for them to slither on, you can fill up the entire space, which is what we're about to do. All right. So let's get to it. I can always talk nonstop. Gotcha. Let's go to this one.
Okay.
And show them.
So here we have our first piece. We have already bent our ends.
And look at this lip so you guys can see. This is a Tamura design enclosure that we positively love. You guys, this backboard, it's all printed right onto the PVC. They sent it to us. I'm going to post a video as soon as we're done setting it up. They sent it to us with perfect instructions. And Larry and John came in and put this thing together following the instructions like a snap. It just all went, oh, it was beautiful. So I can't.
1, 2, 3. That's the way it ought to be.
Tamura designs, enclosures, absolutely incredible. You guys can find them. They're really active on Instagram, but he also posts on Facebook. All right, so Rundo, go.
So here we go. So we're just going to put it in and then flex, and then it sits right in the corner. And there it is. Now, when we add this thinner stuff right here, it's going to wrap all around this, and this gives a little bit. So when we tighten this wire around this, it'll secure itself nicely as we give it a nice squeeze. And plus, like I said earlier, we're going to just thread this. I'm going to take it out for us, but we're going to be able to just thread this soaker hose through it, take up that space. And we're just going to have a little bit of fun. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Amy said you got to do this first. This is important. So once you have the straight piece, you should add these twists first before you do anything. So I was just about to start, but I have to start adding my twists to this thing.
And we'll do that in the other room. So I just wanted to give them a visual about where these vines are going.
Gotcha.
So we showed that.
Yes.
And guys, what Rendo's talking about, well, we'll show them. Let's go in here and show them. Yes.
Let's go.
What we're about to show you, there have been times that I forgot to do this first step and had to take an entire system apart and do it again, because it has to be, you have to have these little nubs and nicks.
Nubs. Wait a second. Nibs and burrs.
Nibs and burrs, yes. We don't have the nibs and burrs he has on his art.
Right.
So we have to just create it. Plus, like Rendo said, it gives it strength. So to get these going, this is always important to do the entire thing before you even start. And I just take these and just make a bunch of different little twists in them.
Wherever. They don't have to be perfectly spaced, just wherever.
No, wherever you do. Yep. And you'll make more as you go, and some of these will come out as you're twisting, but it's just really important to have them. We're going to use them to help it stay strong on the main foundation branch, which is this diagonal that Rendo keeps talking about. And these little things will help it stick better. Now, these pieces that we're using here are 12 feet. We did actually already paint these. Larry thought it would be better if I started painting the hose before I made the vines, so that we don't have a lot of black spots like where it's twisted up, and that's a really good idea. So I did that with these two, but we did not, everything we're making today is not going to be painted. But we'll probably just each make one today.
Yes.
That will be plenty.
Plus, you see these curly things in nature as well. Vines naturally grow like that.
Absolutely.
Real thin ones. So it gives a little more,
And another thing, since we're just doing this one today, typically I do have a pair of gloves I always wear with these. Gloves. Because this soaker hose vines will, over and over again, doing this to it, will start to really get your fingers. All right, so you guys see that we had no rhyme or reason. We just twisted stuff up.
Right.
Yep. All right, you go ahead and start designing. And guys, this is our first ones. We were going to try to make a couple so that we would have an idea to show you.
Right.
But I told Rendo, that's the whole magic of it. You don't have to pre-plan. You just start twisting stuff up and basically sculpt the way you want it to look.
Right. We're going to wrap these vines around, but once we're finished doing that, we're going to go back inside that enclosure and really bend them a little bit more to fill up the unit a little bit better.
Oh, did you make this one too? You made two?
Well, that was the test model. I realized that was the third. We cut that at 36. I cut it at 30. It's really 42.
You like it
works.
42 better?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to cut a fresh one then.
Let's just start adding it on. Twisting it. Come on.
And inside of the 1/2-inch soaker hose, we are using 6-gauge copper wire. We have found that the 6-gauge copper wire is the thinnest wire that holds a good structure. Okay, you said 40?
42.
42.
42.
Ooh, some people think that's the number that tells us everything about life.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's a whole thing. You can Google the number 42. It's practically like a religious following almost.
The magic number.
Yeah. All right, so this is about 42. And I'm just going to start straight from the beginning.
Okay.
Another thing, too, that you guys didn't get to see. You go ahead and keep doing that.
Okay.
So this here is the 6-gauge copper wire, and it goes into the 1/2-inch soaker hose. And it threads through very, very easily. It just goes right in there with no problem whatsoever. But
And when you put the wire in, you want the wire to be a drop shorter than the rubber hose. So here at the ends, there's no metal protruding out of that. It's nice and fits just right.
I'm just going to take this sandpaper and just kind of
Yes.
round out the edge just a little so that when I put it through the soaker hose, it doesn't stick. And it really isn't that important, especially with this short length, but just to show you guys how it's done. Once I finish threading this, while Rendo's designing over there, I'm going to get a 1/4-inch soaker hose and a 10-gauge copper wire and show you guys the process of threading that. It is a little bit harder than this, but not bad. So you can see I just kind of have to straighten it as I go. And it is much easier to straighten the wire after you put it into the soaker hose. You know, mostly like don't try to get it super, super straight before you put it in there. I have found that I have to keep straightening it anyway. So it really wasn't helpful to do that. And
just imagine it, trying to fill that space. We got the front space and then back. If you want to put a planter.
Mm-hmm. And you guys saw how when I took the plant out of Bella's enclosure there, it was just hanging on the soaker hose vines. And you can see that I have a lot of different plants just hanging on vines in there. So the soaker hose vines work. Oh, gosh, they're so fabulous. Not to mention how much the animals love them.
Awesome.
All right. So I have threaded the 6-gauge copper wire through the 1/2-inch soaker hose.
That gives us a little something.
Yeah.
This one comes back touchdown in case the snake likes to crawl around. Maybe the water bowl's down here.
So that's the full 12 feet of
12.
that?
We might want to use more.
Yeah, we're going to use 2.
Okay.
Because I like to fill up the whole space.
Yes.
I do like to leave some small space, like Rendo does also with his art, is to always leave some strike space, like in one bottom corner. But other than that, I like the vines to fill up all the way to about, well, for these babies, maybe about 3 inches from the heat panel, would you say, love?
Yes.
So yeah, maybe 3 to 5 inches from the top. And I just like to really fill up the space.
If you want to give it a little extra pinch, you can just grab a pair of pliers and just give it a squeeze. Just a little, not a lot. There you go. Because this rubber hose gives, so your little squeeze will do you. No, it almost didn't.
Up your nose with a rubber hose.
Lover, those new wire
Yeah.
cutters are amazing. Thank you.
are.
See that? It almost stands on itself with that little extra.
Yeah, that is
Just-
really nice. Mhm.
But where you want me to use it, the other 12 on this?
I'm going to say, yeah.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah. And like you guys design it however you like it.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing, whatever fits your space. And then if you ever decide you want to change it, you can take it apart and change it, but there's really no sense because you can just transfer it right to the next enclosure real easily. All right, I am now, oh man, I have this nice piece here, but I really want to show you guys threading this quarter-inch soaker hose. And I am not going to bother looking for the end of this right now.
Okay.
I'm just going to cut myself an end because I will use every last bit of the soaker hose. You can be guaranteed of that. And I'm going to measure out 12 feet.
Especially for the juveniles. I mean, they're going to crawl all over this.
Yes, they will slither all
Yes.
over it. And I'm doing 12-foot pieces for this. And the reason I'm doing 12-foot pieces, like I told you, I use 25-foot pieces with the half-inch soaker hose when I'm making those big hanging vines, which is another thing I didn't mention. These soaker hose vines, you can hang them, or you can even just set them into the enclosure. They will keep their form. You don't have to worry about what stuff to stick on the sides of the enclosure in order to hold perches or anything like that. So it's just very fabulous all around.
Okay.
Wow, did I just do that?
Everybody, hi, thanks for joining in.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's very exciting to get to share this with you guys, especially having a real Snakescapes artist here to work with us. That's just incredible.
I try.
Seriously.
So what we're doing is we're just building the body, right? So now once the body is basically put together, as soon as Amy's finished with hers, then we'll go back into the room and we'll see how this thing fits into that enclosure. How we could put it in and easily take it out.
Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah, very nice.
Because when we get in there, I'll be able to pull this way and that way to fill up that other space. But yeah, look at that. It stands up on its own.
Sorry for all the noise.
No worries.
Okay, so threading the 10 gauge copper wire into the 1/4-inch soaker hose is just a little bit of a tighter fit. So just this little bit of sanding really makes a big difference, as well as I also use this is olive oil. I just shoot this little bit of, Larry's a dentist, so I have access to cool tools like this.
Cool tools.
And this one has like a sharp point on the end. So I just put it in there and just put some olive oil. That is the closest I will likely ever get to giving a shot to anything.
Can I help it anyway? By stretching it out?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, so Rendo is down at the other end just holding the wire, and I'm pushing it through. And as I'm going, you can see it's already making some little twists here.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to straighten it up as
Perfect.
you move in.
Yes, this is having two workers on this makes a huge difference. So, and it's a great project if you have kids. Kids love to do projects.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
How are we coming along there?
Good.
So you guys saw the little bit of sanding at the beginning and then a little bit of olive oil. It does tend to get just a little tight. So I am going to give it a little more olive oil here. And yes, the olive oil and the sanding the tips was all after, doing it many times. And when you
Trial and error.
Yep. When you don't use the oil and your tip is not slightly sanded, and this stuff catches, it can rip the soaker hose. The 1/4-inch soaker hose is a little more fragile than the 1/2-inch, of course. So when we twist these up, we're a little more careful, but honestly, it's super strong. That was another thing about the Reptile vines is that not only did they mildew, but even just during this process, they would rip a lot. We were always dealing with ripping. So it just turned out that the soaker hose was better for texture, cleanliness, sturdiness, and that reptile vine cannot keep going in and out of the shower. So that was another thing of it too. All right, how many inches do we have there?
We're here.
All right, so I think we're gonna stop because the rest of this does take a minute to keep pushing this through. This could take us 10 whole minutes to finish
Right.
it.
But you got the basic idea. You cut the length of 12 feet of the rubber hose, and the 12, you could just feed it right off the coil, and then you just thread it through.
And it is actually easier to feed it off the coil. I find when I'm doing my very last piece, that's the hardest piece of the wire because it's easier to just have that whole bundle and keep feeding it. All right, let's just toss that right down there.
Okay.
All right, so we have this vine, and then that is absolutely beautiful. And I'm gonna take it just like Rundo made it here. And then once we get in there, I'm gonna actually go into the enclosure and show you guys how it can be all spread out. And of course, we're all gonna have different ideas how we're gonna do it. I'm looking at Rundo's thinking, well, I would have done that differently. But in the end, you know, everybody can make theirs however they want to. So we'll talk about it in there. And one thing that just as long as you make sure that, like Rundo did here, all of these little holes are small enough that the animal cannot get into. But I like how this one is small, but still has a touch of separation there in case the little tail, you know, just kind of try to leave things a little loose in case their little tail ever got in there. And I can't remember if it was my friend Igor or Steve Volk specifically told me to be careful about their tails. So everything looks really good here. All right, let's go, Rundo. You take it in there, and then I'll spread it out and how my vision looks.
I'll put it inside the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Watch the cord.
Yep. Okay. All right, here we go.
Oh, you're looking at me.
Okay, so we're just going to take it. Remember?
Oh, look, Larry turned the light on in there, you guys.
Oh, awesome.
Do you guys see that?
So it flexes. It's in the corners, and in the corners. And now we can let, that thing's not going anywhere.
That's beautiful. That's fabulous.
So she can make her adjustments now to just give it that, where it's going to fill up all that interior space, making for that like a perfect jungle gym. Okay.
And you guys can think about that. This is not just a vine, you know, for your convenience to keep clean and the animal to shed, but one of the big buzzwords with our reptiles lately has been enrichment. This is built-in enrichment, you guys. Will see your animals like just wrapping their tail around one piece and their little bodies are all over these vines in different ways and they slither. This takes this small space and gives the animal all of this space. It's like hamster tunnels. You know how you put those hamster tunnels together and you could just keep getting it bigger and bigger and your hamster has all those places to go?
Right.
It's a hamster tunnel for snakes. So yeah, definitely just spread it out however you want to. And you can hang some plants. Like you could get one of those little plants and hang it here. You can put a plant on the bottom down here and you would be able to completely, and I'm not doing it like how I want it, but I'm just showing you guys how you can really spread this out and, you know, make it look all kinds of different ways. So just whatever, you know, you can put your vines as close to the heat panel as you want to. Well, not as close as you want, but you know, the appropriate height, which for these babies is going to probably be, I'm going to say somewhere between 3 and 5 inches. We'll look once we get them in here and we'll, you know, measure the heat with our temperature gun and everything. All right. So you guys see that? Isn't that incredible how you can just bend it? And yes, this is a baby enclosure, but can I build a new vine for the next baby and take this vine out and put it right into this baby's next enclosure so he has his familiar little places that he likes? Yes. You guys can make this right here and just hook it right up to your PVC perches. And now you have not just your PVC perch, but all of this enrichment for your animal. Pretty
Nice
fantastic.
idea. That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. All right. And again, you guys, when you twist up these vines, you will come up with your own design. How do you like it? We do like to have a lot of, and this is Rundo's very first time making one of these. We like to always try to do as many, it's hard for me to do it in there, but some like horizontal spots. And then I kind of like to bend it a little bit like that. And then I try to, just get a lot of horizontal space for them to work with. And you guys can just literally see how simple this is to bend and how easy it is to change from one enclosure to the next. I can have it smushed up or I can spread it all out. So it's amazing, you guys. Soaker hose vines, we absolutely love them. All right, let's go back in here and talk about the last couple things. I was trying to keep this video short because every time I go to show somebody the soaker hose vines, I always have to refer them to a video that was about everything with the vines in it. So this one is strictly the vines. If you guys want links to all of this stuff, I will send you all of the links where we get the soaker hose, the 1/2 inch, the 1/4 inch. We have some 3/8 inch, 5/8 inch. We also have other sizes. Everything uses the 6 gauge copper wire, except the 1/4 inch has to have the 10 gauge. And the 10 gauge is the absolute biggest you can fit into the 1/4 inch. And that is the reason why we have to have the base perch with the 6 gauge copper wire for sturdiness. And then also, if you guys ask me for a link, what I'm going to do is just send you a link to my Google Doc that has all the links to this stuff, including this Ecos paint. It's they have a paint on their website that is very specifically for pets. We have compared the ingredients between the pet paint and the not pet paint because we accidentally bought the not pet paint one time, but we found that the ingredients were identical. So you guys can look at that when you're working on Ecos. Is there anything that we might have forgotten here or anything that you guys want to know?
Put your glasses on and say hi to your people.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, because I can see them on here. Thank you all so much for coming. Let's see. Oh, Gabriel, hello. Thank you for being here. And Rundo met Gabriel when we were in Chicago.
Hey, yes.
In March. And
hope your snake is doing better, Gabriel.
Yes, he's been doing a really good job with his animal. He did acquire a green tree python and he was told that it was captive born, but it turns out it was not. And so he's been doing a lot of hard work with that animal, and good job, Gabriel. He's got her, she's shed twice. She hasn't eaten on her own, but he's been hand feeding her with a syringe and all special stuff. And she's gaining weight and doing good, digesting. Brenda Bennett, yes.
Great.
My neighbor, the one who painted our beautiful painting you saw of Jaja and Peo and me. I love that piece of art. All right, you guys. I know there are going to be some of you on Facebook too. Rich, thanks for being here, Rich. You guys are going to see, yes, and Rundo actually got to meet Rich too.
Yes.
In Chicago.
Yep.
And I'll be doing a video coming up with Rich. He said at some point, he's not the person who wants to be on video, but he's willing to. But Rich has already recreated these enclosures with the soaker hose vines, all of the technology that we use at HappyBasins, as well as plants, the water system. I mean, he has just completely done it up, which is why Rich is going to be adopting one of our brand new babies, because he has definitely shown that he will be providing a home as good as or better than what they can have here. So thank you, Rich.
Yes.
And thank you all for being here. DIY reptile vines made out of soaker hose and copper, right here with the snakescapes artist himself.
Thank you. And that is how it's done. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.